If you're a giver, do you ever give to the point of depletion? I have success coach Helen Eimers here with us today, and I'm so excited to share that she offers real breakthroughs with her to Womenpreneurs. She integrates mindset, hypnotherapy, and community in her Amplify Academy, and I believe it results in a balance of success and serenity.
Facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Welcome. This is Charla Anderson, host of The Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. I'm so grateful that you would join us today. If you're a giver, do you ever give to the point of depletion? I have success coach Helen Eimers here with us today, and I'm so excited to share that she offers real breakthroughs with her to Womenpreneurs. She integrates mindset, hypnotherapy, and community in her Amplify Academy, and I believe it results in a balance of success and serenity. But first, we're going to do our 22-second little mini vacation and have a breathing exercise. We're going to breathe in calm for 7 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. So would you join me? Let's have a little respite here. Breathe in some calm. Hold. Relax, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining me, Helen. I'm so excited. This is the season 2 finale, my 100th episode on Women.TV network. This is an amazing time, and I couldn't even begin to tell you how grateful I am that I get to have you as my special guest, Miss Helen Eimers from South Dakota. And, we're just really looking forward to learning who you are in this world. So who is that? Let us know who you are in this world.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and the 22-second reset. So valuable in our lives and in our businesses. And I'm just so grateful to be here. Congratulations on your 100th episode. That is huge, right? Consistency. You keep stepping forward every single day and you will not fail. And I love that about life, about all things that we step into. So as Charlotte shared, my name is Helen Eimers. I live in South Dakota. It's a balmy -19 here this morning. And I love where I live. Someone today said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I said, "I just love it here." And this brings me back to something recently I said in my mind, and I was inspired to share, I love going to the grocery store. We'll get back to that later, but I am a success coach. I was a nurse for 16 years. I'm still a nurse by trade, but I retired from nursing a year ago. I stepped into coaching professionally about 2 years ago. I've been coaching for 8 years, actually my entire life. I remember coaching from a very young age and was always kind of the person who was the energizer and let's go and the hype girl. Not in the cheerleader sense, but in the I'm never giving up on you because you have such you are so capable. And that is the most beautiful thing for me in the work that I do is seeing that aha moment when women realize how capable they are. So now I'm a success coach for women entrepreneurs who have a mission and a passion in this world to share, and to just allow themselves to amplify their income, their energy, and their influence in this world without working 70 hours a week or even 40, without feeling overwhelmed, without second guessing themselves or allowing fear to lead them. And that's what I love to do.
And I think it's like refreshing to hear that. I mean, I don't like to shop at all. So that's a funny thing. You talk about loving this grocery store, but it's so this Amplify Academy you talk about, this, how you watch people, women, and inspire them and encourage us. I'll say womenpreneurs is your word, right? So you inspire us to dig deep and find out and lift that confidence. And I know your mindset coach and hypnotherapy specialist, and how it's interesting to understand how that really works with the hypnotherapy and in your
absolutely
in your practice. Is it a practice or whatever you want to call it here?
First, I want to touch on, since you're all on the edge of your seats, about my loving to go to the grocery store. I'm a small town girl, and anywhere I go in my small town, I always find someone to talk to. And if there's someone there that I don't know, I meet them, right? I am just a natural connector. And I know not everyone wants that, has that energy, loves that, or gets fueled by that. For me, the most beautiful thing in this life is connection, right? We were meant for connection. We were meant to support each other and to lift each other up. And I say I love going to the grocery store because this came to me in the midst of the past few years, right? Everyone's like, groceries are so high. It's so expensive, right? And over the last several years, I've done so much work on my money mindset. And it's so beautiful, Charla, anytime you work on your mindset and anytime you shift your thought patterns, it's like a whole new universe opens up for you, new possibilities, endless possibilities. And so instead of me going to the grocery store and standing there and checking out and worried about the finances or how much groceries have gone up, like everyone I talk to is doing, I insert my card and I say, thank you so much. And I send that happy money. If you haven't read the book, Happy Money by Ken Honda, check it out, right? Because it's so true where our energy flows, right? That's what comes back to us. And so I love the grocery store, not only because I can talk to people, not only because it's a connection, not only because I'm just so grateful to see all the beautiful people there, but also I am so grateful to be putting money out in the universe because I know when that gratitude flows out, it flows in 10-fold, 100-fold. And so that's my little story about loving going to the grocery store, even in the midst of everyone saying, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. I say, this is just a fact and I get to think how I want about it. Yeah.
I am so inspired by that. That is great. And honestly, when I'm a collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, the name of my show. So I have a really good friend that I met at the grocery store. I'm the same way. People, and honestly, I think a lot of times it's not necessarily me looking to find somebody. It's that my energy, because before I step outside to go anywhere, I want people to feel my light and my love. I want it to be who I am, and it attracts those people, right? Yeah. So when you have that mentality that everything is always working out for me, and I want, and I'm a collector and I want to bless people all the time, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what it sounds like you're doing, and I love that, and I love the mindset around the money thing. I've decided over, I'm like, I lived on a fairly fixed income, right? I mean, I don't have a lot of extra, but I have shifted in my mindset about if I'm going to buy it, I know I'm going to buy it. I'm just going to buy it. And I'm not going to go, oh, but if it wasn't, what costs. And it's a very freeing thing to not have to, you're going to buy it anyway. So quit fretting over it,
Yeah, I'm very intentional with my energy around all things. Right. And some people, see me or look at me and they're like, well, are you ever sad? Or you ever have fear? And of course, because I'm human, I do. And I work through those things in a very intentional way, right? And I share those experiences with women in my healing process so that they can help, so that they too can grow in themselves too. And that's exactly why I developed the Amplify Academy and exactly why I became a trained hypnotherapist. Because what I did for most of my life is I was trying to fix everyone. I wanted everyone to be happy. I hated conflict, right? Insert people pleaser, right? Anyone that like raise your hand or, something, if you're a people pleaser and you want everyone to be just like kosher, right? Like we all just have to be happy. We all have to be. So while I was doing all this work my whole life, inside I was truly felt a different way. So it felt very conflicting, but I had to hide it. Because I didn't want anyone to see those parts of me. Now, in the work that I've done in healing and being able to look at those parts of me that were hurting, right? I've been able to step away from alcohol. I've been able to end the people pleasing. I've been able to say no. I've been able to step into time for myself and enjoy this life with so much freedom from fear that it's just incredible. And the work that I do through hypnotherapy does exactly that, right? We sit down at the table, in a sense, there's many ways to do it, but we sit down at the table in a sense with our fear and we have a conversation because most of us, we avoid the hard things or we don't ever look at them, right? If you are someone who has any debt at all or really loves to invest in things, sometimes it's hard to sit down and look at the finances, right? So until we do that, and until we're willing to feel the emotions that we need to step to that next level, we will, until we're willing to do that, we'll continue to just damp them down, we'll hide from them. And all that does is creates more fear, more shame, more anxiety, more guilt within you. And so the work that I do is really about facing what you've been hiding from so that you can finally break free of it. And it is incredibly empowering and it helps women create the businesses of their dreams, the income of their dreams, the mindset and the freedom of their dreams. And it's beautiful.
I mean, who doesn't want that? That's amazing. I want to, I'll ask you this, and then I want to tell people how we met because that's an inspired story too. So, are there people resistant to hypnotherapy that really have I feel like I'm one of the ones that's very resistant to hypnotherapy. I feel like I'm always kind of aware of what's going on and I don't,
Yeah, it's so important to recognize that hypnotherapy and any type of healing is fully your choice, right? I have a sign, only you can make it happen. So people are like, first thing most people think about when they think about hypnotherapy is I'm going to hypnotize you, make you dance around and do circles and do something crazy. And that's not at all what happens, right? And it's a surrender. And so if you haven't practiced surrender and trust in your life, and most of us haven't, I didn't for many, many years, because it was like, I have to do more. I need to prove myself. I need to, make sure that people are seeing me, right? Like that validation. And so I didn't allow myself to let my guard down. Right? Because it's scary because as human beings, as beautiful human beings that we are, we protect ourselves. That is our innate nature, right? To protect ourselves. So even from young children, even, very, very little, we learn to protect ourselves because we are incredible human beings. And in that, we miss out on the trust and surrender. So everyone responds to hypnotherapy differently. And that is why it is so important for me to have gone through the training to continue to receive hypnotherapy myself so that I can be the most supportive, encouraging person in the room with you. So that when your beautiful mind wants to protect yourself, as it always has done, and keeps going through the same cycles of self-sabotage, I can help you see that light in it. And it's uncomfortable, of course, when you change, but it's like there's always a discomfort in life, right? We are not immune to everything's happening all the time. Yeah, right? Like, which is what I tried to make happen for most of my life. So we will always feel discomfort, but we get to choose when we get to feel it. Do we want to feel it on the front end when we're uncomfortable, maybe delaying instant gratification? Or do we want to feel it on the back end when once again, we did what we said we weren't going to do, and now we're right back where we said we didn't want to be? And so when do you want to feel the discomfort? Because you get to choose. And so hypnotherapy is so unique, and it's such a beautiful experience for each person. And yeah, some of my clients, I always like to say, like in coaching and hypnotherapy, the best coaches will make you feel uncomfortable. Because if you're not stretched, if you're not uncomfortable, there's no growth. Of course I can stay doing what I'm doing. Of course I can stay in my beautiful, days and days on the couch watching Netflix or eating my favorite foods or indulging in alcohol every weekend. I could have stayed in that. That was comfortable for me. But I didn't. I shifted out of it. And so when do you want to feel the discomfort? That is my question for you, because you will feel it, but you get to decide when.
Wow. I'm going to spell your name because HelenEimers.com, HelenEimers.com is where people can find you. I'm just going to throw that in because most people will not be watching. They will be listening later on podcasts. So, EIMERS, HelenEimers.com. And you've got so much to offer. But first, we met each other in this Change book series that is, you've got yours back there too. So we ran that is one of the coolest things I feel like we've ever done, right? I'm in book 21. You're in 22.
I'm in 22. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so, we've got Les Brown writes the foreword and the 20 other amazing authors in this compilation book that's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah.
And Jim Lutz and Jim Britt are brilliant. And the mastermind that they include and offer in this beautiful opportunity to have the credibility factor of being in the Change book series is pretty remarkable. Have you found that too?
Oh, absolutely. At first, I'll be honest, I thought it was a hoax, right? Someone reached out to me, do you want to be in this book? And I'm like, this is just some scam, whatever. And then when I found out who the publishers were, Jim Lutz, who's one of the most well-known hypnotherapists, right? Hypnotherapy, and Jim Britt, who just has been in the coaching scene for a long time. It was just an opportunity that felt so connected. And so people always say, how did you find the book? I said, it actually found me, which is the most beautiful way that something can evolve for you is when you trust and surrender to this space. And so for me, it was just a beautiful first publication. I'm already writing another journal that will be published in 2025. And I have ideas for 2 more books after that. So I'm just so excited and grateful. And, Charla's in the Change book, and I'm in the 22nd edition. My chapter is titled You Are the Gift. For me, that is an incredible story that happened to me. That became aware to me during a hypnotherapy session of my own, when my mother spoke to me and shared a message. My mother passed away when I was 4 years old. And the first time I had therapy in my life was in my 30s. And so you could imagine a lot of protection that I did for myself growing up, that I stepped through, that I practiced in my life. And then as I got older, that I was able to heal and feel the discomfort of, so that I could shift into the space that I'm in now.
Wow. I can't even imagine being able to hear from your mom. That's got to be a very huge comfort to you. She's, I believe, I had a stillborn baby. I believe she's angels. I believe there's angels that surround us and protect us all the time. So what a treasure. So getting in that book was fantastic. It's Jim Lutz and Jim Britt and and Les Brown. It's pretty precious to me. One of the top credibility factors I feel like I've ever indulged in. And then that master, like we said, we met through the mastermind, that they have a monthly mastermind. Truly brilliant coaching, don't you think?
Absolutely. So grateful for that space. And that is so important in your life and in your business, the people who you choose to surround yourself with, right? I know so many women come to me and they're like, well, I've got family that this, and I've got, like they feel so stuck in their circumstances. And the most beautiful thing about life is that our circumstances will happen, right? Just like the discomfort will happen. And we get to choose based on our circumstances, how we think about it, which then creates an emotion within us and ultimately creates the results. So one of my favorite books of all times is You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. And one of her favorite quotes, and I won't say the full word here, but one of my favorite quotes is, it's not your fault you're effed up. It's your fault if you stay effed up, right? And so I could talk all day about the challenges and the hardships that I've gone through. And while, yes, I am proud and grateful for all of those, I can see it from a place of gratitude and blessing. And then I can choose what's next, right? I get on so many calls with women who might be interested in working with me. And they're like, but this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. I'm like, but what are you doing about it? Right? And so when I can help women interrupt their thought patterns, because we get so ingrained in like what's going wrong or what's not working, and we start to spiral. And so when we take authority and ownership of our thoughts, women can achieve anything. And here's the deal. Like, you are intelligent. You are brilliant. All of you listening, everyone listening is intelligent and brilliant. And I have no doubt in my mind that you can figure out anything that you want to do. You know these things, right? It's like, if we knew if we practiced what we knew we should do, right? We'd all be millionaires. We'd all be a size 4. We would all go to the gym, right? We would all do these things, but it's our thoughts that stand in the way. So when you have someone who encourages you and supports you and is in your circle and who never gives up on you, everything changes and you feel an all-in energy that shifts everything. And that's what I offer to the women that I support.
So I say the same thing. Where you are is all you have. I mean, we only have here, and all that has happened that got us here. We can't change that. We can only change the next step, make a different choice, and it's all choice. And most of us think circumstances are the problem, but we get to choose. Are we going to stay here or take a different step? And when we mess up, apologize, move on, and keep going. And because it's so true that we can't change anything. And this is the difference in my estimation between therapy and coaching. Therapy will possibly, if you have some therapists or in the old model, have you on the couch for years talking about what went wrong, right? Instead of a coach is like, what's possible? Where can we go? Yes, this happened, but do you want to stay there, like you just said? So to me, that seems to be a little bit of focusing on the past rather than focusing on the possibilities. I think we actually have someone listening live on here, and is it Terry, who I can't really tell for sure, but if you have any questions or want to speak up, feel free to join us. And Helen is really open to answering questions or having conversation as well. So the live part of this gives that opportunity. I love that. So feel free to either turn on your camera or just speak up or put something in the chat. But if you put it in the chat, I don't know. I can't see it because I don't have my glasses on.
I don't see anything in the chat right now, but I'll keep my eyes out.
Okay, great.
But I love that you shared that about, us being focused on the past. As a nurse for 16 years, and even myself with some health problems, and like, raise your hand, like nod your head if this has ever happened to you. If like you've got something going on, you're just not sure, something's off, and you need to figure it out. You need a diagnosis, right? You're like, if I have this diagnosis, then, right? It's kind of like the if then, right? Like, when this happens, then, once I have this, then. And so often that's what we do, is we search for, why am I doing this? One of my most beautiful clients, her favorite question is why? Like, why would I do that? And instead of continuing to ask the question, I challenge everyone listening to answer that, right? Like, why would I do that? Like be honest with yourself, because when we are trying to figure ourselves out, either like medically or mindfully, right? We will spend our whole lives trying to do that because we are beautifully complicated human beings. And now I am all for go get your diagnosis, make sure you take care of yourself. But here's what's happening right now.
Don't claim it as yours, right?
And what am I going to do about it? Yeah. So what's happening right now and what am I going to do about it? Because I could try to figure out why I binge drank for years, even though I said I wasn't going to. I could still be trying to figure that out. Or I can say, well, here's where I'm at and here's what I want to do. And here's the choice that I'm going to make. And so it's a beautiful thing when you can shift from why to what next, right? And we can shift ourselves out of that. But I see that happening a lot of times, especially in the medical field. I would see that where it's just like searching for a diagnosis. And like I know something's off. I know you feel off. Keep being a bulldog, keep being an advocate. But also like take care of yourself in this moment, right? So often we get really busy with the overwhelm and the why and trying to figure it all out that like we don't take a 22-second vacation ever. So I'm glad that you offer that on the show because, every morning I start in my chair over there, 10 minutes of silence and talking to the Lord and asking, for him to lead me through my day. And before I hop into a big project, before I write a meditation, before I hop on a hypnotherapy call or a coaching call, I do the same thing. And that is where my inspiration comes from. Because when we're so disconnected from our true self, which is what hypnotherapy helps you do, is connect with your true self. When we're so disconnected from our true self, we're always going to feel overwhelmed. We're always going to feel like it's too much. We're always going to feel like even though we got a lot done, we're never done. And that's what I see in so many womenpreneurs, especially high achieving women, because they are driven and their success means that they have to be at a certain level. So it's beautiful to define those words and help women define those words to step into the ease of success versus what they believe it truly is.
That is massive. And be still and know. So often we're so connected on our devices and we're busy. There's never a time that you just be still and listen, because every single solitary thing you need is already inside of you. Every answer is there. And when you can be still and know and listen and take a moment. And I just witness in our society that people are, always entertained. They've always got something going into their minds, so they can't slow down and listen to their own bodies. And when I apologize for interrupting like that, but if you're diagnosed with something, okay, take care of it. Do what you got to do, but don't say I have. Don't claim it, because my coaching is every word matters. Everything that you say comes out of your mouth is who you are. After you say I am, that is who you are. And we don't want to claim some of those things that we continue to claim. My friend, it's like, that damn stool, and why are you damning my stool? And it was just a light way of reminding us that your words matter, and it really does throw something negative out there that you may not care to reclaim. Or to claim. So you've got an amazing clarity and confidence in your presentation and how you literally serve the world and serve the ladies of our world. And we saw your one of your quotes, and I love this one too. You're playing small does not serve the world. Marianne Williamson, we are powerful beyond measure, all of those things. We have everything inside of us. And a coach helps us remember those things so often, just to draw that out. I am. So I want to shift just a second, because I happened to check your Facebook page, and you have a masterclass, or had a masterclass, I believe, this last week. That's called, I made $20,000 while sleeping in, baking sourdough, and living my life. No rushing, no guilt, no exhaustion, just flow. So a mastermind called, making sourdough, sleeping in, and making $20,000, whatever it was called, is like, that's pretty phenomenal. And I would love for you to talk about what that looks like when you offer that type of a mastermind, and how was it received?
Absolutely. People went crazy for it. It was so fun because it's just me authentically. The beautiful story of how it was birthed was I was on a call, like a work hour with my VA manager, and any of her clients can join. And so you kind of get on and you ask questions and you're like, hey, here's what I need help with, or here's where I'm stuck on the portal. And so I was asking questions, and then it was a Monday morning, and she said, how was your weekend? She's very personable, love her. And I was just sharing. I said, yesterday I didn't even get out of my room till noon. I slept until 9:30, which I get up every day at 6 a.m. and this is just my routine. So this is different for me. So it was a Sunday. I had slept until 9:30. My husband brought me breakfast in bed. The kids were entertained, and I ate breakfast. I said, hey, do you want to watch some Chosen? We like to watch the Chosen series. And so we watched 2 episodes of the Chosen, and it was like incredible. And there was no guilt. There was no shame. There was no, I got to get out of bed. And after I got up, there was no, I shouldn't have done that. Right. It was like letting go of all of that, because I've gotten to this space in my business that is so beautiful, that allows me to help women abundantly and receive abundantly. And then on the call, I said, oh, excuse me, I'm just going to go on mute, and I got to go grab the sourdough out of the oven. And I heard one of the other women on the call say, sleeping in and sourdough, like, how does she do it? And I'm like, I have to share how I do this. I have to share where these energy leaks are for women and how they can overcome them, because everyone is meant for this type of success. Everyone is meant for this abundance. And it isn't until we open our hearts and our hands to receive it that it will come into our space. And so that was how it was birthed. And it was so fun. I had the masterclass live yesterday, and I've just like, it was fire. Everyone keeps messaging me, and that was so good. And it resonated, and that was fire. And I want to learn more from you. And how do I learn more? And so I do masterclasses like that every month live on social media. In addition to my coaching programs and my coaching cohorts, it's just a beautiful space to share.
I just cracked up. I'm like, sourdough. I'm sleeping in sourdough, $20,000. It kind of is very catchy, and I know and the reason it's catchy is, I know authenticity is the new sexy. I mean, if you're not real, it's not worth it, and nobody cares. And so, coming from someone like yourself, who is so genuinely authentic and giving and caring and loving, and what you've shifted, it seems to me that you've shifted outside of, I'm always a cheerleader on the Pollyanna. I want, everything is always working out for me, and I'm outrageously optimistic, and it's really who I am, right? I mean, it's not like I'm making this up and trying to be, but it has shifted from being the cheerleader to being more authentic, right? It's like,
I no longer have to have people be happy for me to be happy, right? Because that's really what it was. I just was, my whole life was, and I grew up in a very loving childhood, but after my mother passed away, it was hard. It was really hard for people to see me sad. They didn't want me to see me sad, because of course that made them sad. So as a way to protect themselves, like, don't cry, it's okay, right? Like, and so it was this, it's not that I wasn't able to express my emotions, but I created this safety within me that, like, let me just, not focus on this right now. Right? Like, I'm going to find comfort. This is what instant gratification is, you guys. This is exactly the definition of instant gratification. I am uncomfortable. Let me find comfort. And so you go to the fridge, or you crack open your soda, or you grab a beer, or you start scrolling on your phone, right? And when we can take the power back to feel the discomfort, to do the things that we really desire to do, once we map out our vision and our values and have a purpose, you guys, like, the world is waiting for you to share that, right? Like the world is waiting for you to get uncomfortable. And so, I work specifically with women who, have for all of their lives, especially high achieving women, who their answer is to try harder, to work longer, to push through, to just keep going, to like get the next thing, to I got to get this done. Right. So women that, work a crazy number of hours. And as a nurse, like, I took on every shift I could take on. Like, this is the first time in my life that I haven't had more than 3 or 4 jobs at a time. I have always been what I like to call a workaholic. Well, it was so much easier for me to work than to spend time with myself. Right? So like I had to gratify myself. That's how I gratified myself with work. Not everyone does that. But if you've ever worked a crazy number of hours and like felt like you were still behind, or wondered why the money wasn't flowing in and it should be, or ended up feeling resentful, right, towards what you're doing, like, this should be working, I'm working hard, right? Those are the women that I work with, because I help them to stop that forcing, that chasing, that controlling every little thing in their business, so that they can create abundance within them.
Busy being busy. I mean, yeah. And nothing, there's never, the way I say it, there's never nothing to do. There is never nothing to do. There's always something that is dangling. And what I love about your presence here is, the calming, and that there is a solution. I truly believe that we don't have to work so hard. I gave me a word in 2013, I think it was. Somebody said, you don't have to strive so hard. You don't, just be. And that really shifted a lot for me, that I didn't have to be striving all the time. I just get to be. And, then you lose sight of that sometimes, but
right. But this is really a scary concept for people, especially who are overachievers and overworkers, because that's where they feel safe. And I like to preface this by like, I work hard. I love to work. Like, I love my job. I would stay up all night to all hours of the day, because I love so much what I do and the mission that I have. But I know that I'm not the best coach. Like, the most beautiful thing I can do for my clients is take a nap when I need a nap, because then I show up with a rejuvenated energy, versus like, have you guys ever like gotten in a hurry or been just like really hustly, and like, and you're throwing crap around and you're like, doing things and you miss the little details and something happens. And like, if we can just think about our business and our life that way, when that happens, it's like, okay, yes, take a break, take 22 seconds. So it's not that I don't love to work. I freaking love to work, and I love to challenge myself and come up with new things and experiment and get curious. Curiosity is one of my core values. But I do it in a way that I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I don't need to like have people validate that I'm working hard. I don't need to exchange hours for money. It's such an evolution and such a flow that is a beautiful shift. And, finding those energy leaks that keep you stuck is the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself and your business.
And I think you're painting a picture that is just so peaceful. So no rushing, no guilt, no exhaustion, just flow. And I have a friend whose word of the year is flow. And I have another friend, a mentor that, she was working 7 days a week, and she was traveling every weekend and speaking all over. And then she gave herself the permission to cut back to 1 weekend of travel. Then she started making more money. She gave herself permission to work 3.5 days a week, and she made more money. And so having the balance, having the understanding that being frenetic and being busy is not the go, all it's meant to be, all it's set up to be, right? So
yeah, one of my favorite things I used to say, because I'm also like, I love humor. My husband loves humor. And so for most of my life, like, I would say very like humorous, what I thought was humor, like people would laugh at them, but they were really like those subconscious beliefs I was believing, right? Like I thrive on chaos, right? I need a drink after being with my kids, right? Like all these things that like society says, like, you see reels about all the time, you see all the things. And, but it was what I was actually living. And so I needed to shift out of that. And so finding that was beautiful. And yes, I have a word of the year. I have it on a ring on my finger every year. Last year was nurture. This year is cherish. So Charla, what's your word for the year?
Completion is one of the ones I had last year, and I kind of rolled it back over into this year. And impact and completion. Yeah. Are a couple of them, but cherish, that's an interesting word. That old song, cherish is the word, that's a beautiful word. And to just cherish each and every minute and each and every moment and recognize, where I am is all I have. I might as well love it. You may not love your circumstances, but love where you are. There's a song called Be Where Your Feet Are. I think it's a Jason Mraz song, but be where your feet are. And because you have no other place to be, receive it, live it. And if you don't like it, that's where we talked earlier, where you have a choice to make a different decision if you want to go change that circumstance. But there should be an appreciation and a gratitude in every single moment, even if you're in the gutter, if you're in the worst of circumstances. If you can take a breath and you can breathe free oxygen on this side of the dirt, then you have opportunity to make a different choice in the next breath. So those are ways that I kind of sometimes say it. And I think that's what you're talking about, just being real and loving yourself. And it's so evident in your persona, in your presence, in your beauty, in your calmness, and your confidence that you're not striving. There isn't this frenetic energy. And I think I'm pretty sure you're talking to a lot of people right now that could or will be when this is out there that need that. You've got a Facebook group too, right? Midlife Womenpreneur Success Community. Midlife Womenpreneur Success Community. And people can find you there and on all kinds of social media. Do you have other things you want to promote, or how can we keep in touch? How can people find you and gravitate? I know people are gravitating to your message. I am.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And, the message that I want everyone to take away today is that, you have the ability to step into that transformation, and not even that, but it's already there for you, right? We just get to choose it. And when we think about it that way, that presence of it, right? That presence, even for you, Charla, of like completion, right? Like the completion is right in front of me. Which one do I get to choose? Almost like a charcuterie board, like an appetizer. Like I get to choose what it is right now for today. And we start to have and create bridge thoughts, right? So success for me used to be, my definition of success, I'm going to share this very authentically with y'all right now. Are you ready? My definition of success used to be, first of all, when I was in corporate as a nurse, it was climbing the corporate ladder. I had to get to the top. I had to be the best. I had to have everyone see me, right? I had to, be known and be very important. And then success shifted to, I have to have all my shit together. Well, of course, it felt awful when I thought about success, because who has all their shit together, right? We get to figure our shit out every single day. And I apologize if I can't use that word on the show.
Hey, I was a flight attendant for 34 years. I've heard it all. We're real.
So now, one of my definitions of success, and one of my favorite things to do, is to define words and help women define words, because we have a definition of words in our mind and in our thoughts that are leading us. But sometimes when we actually pause to take a look at it, it's holding us back. So for me, one of my definitions of success now is being able to look in the mirror and say, I love you, which is not something I could always do. right? And until I could get to that point, right? Because sometimes this is why affirmations don't work. This is why affirmations don't work. I help women with power statements so they can feel them. But if you look in the mirror and you look yourself in the eye and you say, I love you, and you don't believe it, how do you feel? You feel worse. You feel guilty or shame, like, oh, I should love myself, but I actually don't right now because I did, so we like pause all of that. And instead of I love you, you can say like, I used to think that I didn't love you. Right. But today I know for certain that you're amazing. Right. So we choose bridge thoughts until we can get to the thought that we really want to see and embrace. And so I want to share with you guys that transformation for you is right here. Right. Like it's seriously like so much closer than you think. And you can live this life where you're not hustling, you're not overthinking, you're not second guessing, so that you can create the business of your dreams. You can share your impact and your mission with the world. And that's exactly what we do in the Amplify Academy, which is such a space to shift, to build a business that works for you, not against you, to create effortless success, momentum, and consistent income. So I work with women in a long-term program of the Amplify Academy, and in there, oh my gosh, we get curious and we discover so much. And it's a beautiful marriage of support, group support, one-on-one support, hypnotherapy, and you are an entirely new woman, transformed when you step into that space. Not when you finish, but the day you step in. And that's what's beautiful. So I work with women in that space. I also have a mini program called HypnoBiz, where we marry hypnotherapy and strategy, and your mind and business blow up. And it's so much fun because you get to, instead of hide from that fear, you get to talk to it. Just yesterday on a hypnotherapy call, one of my clients connected with her fear. And I said, what do you want to say to that fear? And she was able to say, I got you. This is going to be fun. Trust me. When is the last time you talked to your fear, let alone said something so loving and beautiful to it? And so those are just a few of the ways that I help women in this beautiful world. I have a free Facebook community, the Midlife Womenpreneurs Success Community. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at Helen Eimers. That's EIMERS, or at heleneimers.com. Another fun fact is that I teach local yoga and paddleboard yoga on the Missouri River. We hop on paddleboards when we do yoga. I also love to facilitate meditations, faith-based speeches, motivational speeches on a national and local level, and host retreats.
And take a deep breath every once in a while. And you're the mother of two girls, three girls.
I have two girls
and one.
Two girls that wrestle. Like this is new for me. And let me just tell you, if you're a wrestling parent, you know what I mean. I have learned a lot about myself emotionally since they started wrestling. So I'm so grateful for that growth. Terry's like shaking her head. I'm like, she might know about wrestling, but I'm like, whoa. And then I have one son. We have one son and he is in Taekwondo. We live outside of a small town in South Dakota, very rural. And in the summer, another fun fact is that our family moves our camper 10 miles from our house, and we live full-time right on the banks of the Missouri River. So every morning I can just hop out on my paddleboard and find even more space to be with myself.
I think that's amazing. And I do, when we had our conversation months ago, I had noticed that you were avid biking and hiking and outdoorsy, and you check all the boxes of the things that, you're living your life. Your life is not driving you, you're driving your life. And I wrote the word for the introduction. I thought this Amplify Academy, resulting in a balance of success and serenity. So to me, you have a serenity that exudes, the confidence and the grace, fun, and ease. I love the words fun and ease, right? So we got to have fun and enjoy what we're doing, or what's the point?
Absolutely. There's, many people who, I love Carol Dweck, the work of Carol Dweck. She talks all about mindset, fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And I've been studying her work for years. I recently hopped back into her book and I started reading it and I'm like, oh, I have a fixed mindset. And she says, and they're like, everyone has aspects of fixed and growth mindset. And I grew up in a town, in a community where I was very surrounded. We can all find evidence of fixed mindsets around us, or we can all find evidence of growth mindsets, but there have been people who have said to me, well, like, wow, just must be nice to do what you do. And before it used to bother me. Right? Like years ago, at least I used to get all bristly, right? Have you guys ever gotten bristly when someone like compliments you or like, wow, must be, right? Those kind of comments. I used to get real bristly. And that showed me something. That showed me that I wasn't yet confident in who I was and stepping into it, and that I still needed that validation. I needed other people's support. And now when people say that must be nice, I'm like, it's effing amazing. It's so fun. Do you want to learn how to do it? Right? And so it's a whole different energy. So if any of you feel bristly, right? It's like the things, when people say things and they trigger you, say thank you. And then you go to your room and you start journaling about it, or you contact me and let's work through it, because those are the spaces of healing, of surrender, of like full acceptance of yourself and where you want to be and where you want to grow, that are so powerful. So to all those people who say that must be nice, I thank you so much. It's beautiful. And would you like to come too?
It's beautiful, because that's you're the next man up. I'm going to help you too. It's not just me. It's we've got community. We want to love them through it, right? We want to love them through these unsteady times. We want to love them through their own confidence and growth space. So I will just ask quickly if Terry, do you want to speak anything? You're welcome to chime in here. We've only got very few minutes, but if you can unmute and speak if you want to. I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but that is an advantage of this network of Win-Win Women. Are you unmuted? Are you speaking?
I was trying to unmute. There we go.
Hi, Terry.
I think I got it.
Hi, Terry.
I'm like, what? Speak. Huh? This was great, though. This was really good. Really good.
I appreciate you. She says she's listened to you before, Helen, and that I'm sure we know through. I don't know how you know. I know Terry through Bree Talks with Terry Lee Harrison and this faith-based speakers forum group. So anyway, I thank you for joining us. I'm so grateful, and I think somebody else might be on here, but I don't typically have a lot of live communication on here, just because my eyesight doesn't let me see who it is that's on. So we're just I'm grateful for all of this, and Terry, do you have any questions or anything? Or are you just enjoying the show?
I don't think I have any questions, but I have some things to really think about. Yeah.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Yes.
Thank you for showing up for yourself, Terry. Right. And when we can recognize that those thoughts, right? The first step of change is awareness, right? Saying like, oh, interesting. Right. Out of love. Like, and again, my word is curiosity, one of my values. So I can say like, oh, that is an interesting thought I've been having. And
it was, something about like where I feel like I have to take a nap. Like, it was about choice. I guess you were saying you could feel the pain now or feel the pain later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's around that I want to look like, interesting. Because it's a pattern. You want to
feel the discomfort. So Terry, I'd love to talk to you more about this. Make sure you add me on social media if you haven't already, and connect with me there. We can continue this conversation in the chat. But interrupting thought patterns is my specialty. And I do it in a beautiful, supportive, encouraging, loving way, right? Every single day I ask the Lord to bless me to release comparative judgment, right? So that I can see everyone as they are on the same level, right? Because we are all capable of everything. It's when we put someone else on a pedestal or when we put ourselves on a pedestal that there's judgment involved.
Yes.
You know, insert the person saying, wow, must be nice, right? And
Yep.
so, you know, I would get fired up, but I was then, you know, when we get fired up from something, it's like a beautiful mirror for us. It's like, wow, okay, that fired me up. Okay, I've got some of that same judgment too, right? And so that's what I pray for every day, is for that comparative judgment to just like clear the playing field. Like, we are all here. And when we can see people like that and see opportunities like that, right? Like, I am just as capable as doing this as everyone else, and they are capable too. What a beautiful, you know, sight lines that you have. It's like everything's clear and clarity. And so, Terry, I love that that your thought patterns were interrupted today.
Thank
Love
you.
as God loves. Love as God loves. Unconditional love. He loves you no matter what. I mean, you're loved. And what if we can start sharing that type of wouldn't our world expand in a more beautiful way? So thank you very much for joining us, Terry, anyone listening, and HelenEimers.com, Eimers. I have just had a blast with you today. I'm really inspired by your demeanor, the whole concept that you have shifted into. As a flight attendant, I was a server, right? I don't want to make waves. I don't want anybody to be unhappy, and I want to love everybody, but and I want them to love me, it's amazing the confidence you have that you kind of gave up. You don't have to love me, you be you. And so thank you for your insights and extreme confidence and all a beautiful, beautiful encouragement today.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful. Terry, I'm grateful you're here, and everyone listening, I'm so grateful for you. And I want you to pause for a moment and be grateful for yourself, for showing up, for spending this time to support yourself, and just know that you are so much more capable than you ever thought possible, than you do think possible, and that you are a gift.
You are a gift. I love that. That's your favorite saying. I believe it's yours. And you got it from your mom. Yeah. What a blessing. Well, this Charla Anderson show, this is the finale of season 2. I'm so grateful you would listen and join us. This is my 100th show. Starting next week, we start season 3. I do my solo show, and we're going to begin season 3 with Charla Anderson show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating. And I'm so grateful that to have this opportunity just to be with you. And I just love each and every one of you that take the time to listen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember to always, always, always choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show, encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.